Hey guys, it's the Fancy Nerd here, and today, welcome to our first episode of Movie Talk. I'm with our very special guest star, Mr. Ed Gale himself. So, Mr. Gale, can you please just tell us about yourself? Kind of who you were before all the acting career and stuff.
Well, I was only 22 when I got my first acting job, so before that I wasn't really anybody, just a kid. I left Michigan when I was 20 years old with $41 in my pocket, hitched a ride to California to pursue acting, and my very first audition, my first callback, my first rejection, my second callback, and actually booking it and becoming my very first acting role was Howard the Duck.
Yes, to me, I don't know, that movie, I really enjoyed that flick, especially with you in it. It was, I don't know, my childhood, I guess you could say.
Anyway, how old are you?
I am 16.
Oh, honey, that movie came out 30 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
That was your grandfather's child.
Yeah, this newer generation, though, who likes it?
It's funny. It's like Howard skipped generation. It was, my generation, loved it. The next generation never heard of it. And then it came out on DVD, and your generation learned, it's like a whole new movie to you.
Essentially, yeah, like, to me, the newer flicks, they're kind of just, I don't know, computerized, and they're not as good as what I think should have been.
Right. Well, 50, 60 years ago, when the big studios started, popping up, Universal, United Artists, MGM, etc., when you brought them a script, they're not going to read it until you tell them a synopsis. So, what's the movie about?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 Gone with the Wind. It's about this. What do you call it? Wizard of Oz, blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, wow, it sounds like a great story. We'll do it. Well, nowadays, about 25 years ago, a friend of mine took a script to Fox, and it was really awesome, but it was really new, something way off the wall, and they said that they loved it, which was a shock, because you only allowed 15 minutes with, the head of the studio, and he was in there over an hour.
Wow.
And it came down to, the guy told him right to his face, if someone else does it, something like it, then we'll do it. We don't do original work.
Oh, really?
And then the next generation was, when you brought a script, does it have potential for toys or a video game, like Avatar?
Yeah.
Avatar did not get approved because of the script. It got approved because of the potential.
Yeah, I really never thought of that.
Titanic never got approved because of the script or James Cameron. James Cameron was nobody then. And it got approved because of the actors attached. So, my God, you got DiCaprio and, De Niro and, whoever, blah, blah, blah. Man, we'll buy it. So, Hollywood has nothing to do with movies. It's all about remakes, rehashes, and when I was a kid, the movie would be in the theater the whole summer. And then, of course, there's the Christmas season, which lasted 3 months. November, December, January. And then there was your dead season. Then, again, your summer blockbuster. June, July, August, September, whatever. Now, then it went to how much money can they make in the month, and then the week, and then opening weekend. Now it's opening day. You pass or fail.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous. They want a movie to make $100 million in 12 hours, or it's no longer considered a success.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And that kind of brings us to our first question. Do you think, is Hollywood's health definitely, movie-wise, going down?
Yes, because it's the younger kids that are coming up, and all they want to do is remake, rehash, sequels and prequels of movies they love. Like yourself, you're 16.
Yes.
And if somebody said, "Look, I love your style. I love the way that you write, or the way maybe you shot some, home video crap that you showed them," and so they love your style. I like the way you do this. Pick any movie, and we'll give you the money. I guarantee you'll pick a movie that we've already seen, or that you've already seen, that you loved, that you just wish it was a little different. And let's make a movie about the Titanic, but the boat doesn't sink. Well, that's called Amistad. That's called Love Boat. They've already made movies about Ocean's 12. They've already made movies about boats that don't sink. But you have to put the word Titanic in it to get $300 million budget. And you don't have the talent to write a script of your own. So you want to, milk off of somebody else's, work.
Yeah. Okay. That honestly, that puts me into like a thought process now that I actually really never thought of until you just told me that.
What's on TV right now? The Goldbergs. That's the it's all that is the 80s show, which takes off from the 70s show. Uncle Buck with Omar Epps.
Yeah.
Really? Really? There's just what's on television, what's on the movie production chart. Meaning, what movies are they trying to sell? They're trying to sell Gilligan's Island. They're trying to sell Gone with the Wind for the, another generation. A Star is Born. And that movie's been done 3 or 4 times already.
Wow. Whew. So, kind of backing track towards your career. After you filmed Howard the Duck, how did you become one of the most iconic horror villains of probably the whole horror genre itself?
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I go that far, but that's humbling. After I'd finished Howard the Duck, I did a movie with Mel Brooks called Spaceballs.
Yes, love that film.
And the first assistant director and the unit production manager and the set photographer were the same on Howard the Duck and Spaceballs. So I thought the movie business only had 12 people in it. And
yeah.
Then I went to, I want to say Phantasm 2, and did The Creature there. And Tom Holland rewrote the script. Don Mancini wrote the original script to Child's Play.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland and John LaFia rewrote it. And they said, the way that you've written it, you're going to need a little person in a costume. They recommended me, the special effects people, who've already made costumes for me. Tommy invited me to the production office, and we had a meeting, and he just loved the way that I made Howard the Duck move and run and jump, and he said, I need someone to make, Chucky do that. And I said, I can do it. I was in the process of auditioning for Willow, and then we would call back for Willow, and another call back for Willow, and that's what we call if come. If you get it, you'll make money.
Yeah.
And then you have income. When somebody hands you a contract and you sign it, you are now making income. Well, that was if come versus income. I've got Willow wanting me, and in the financial aspect of it, you know, I had 3 houses. The mortgage company didn't really care where the money came from. Just make the money. And I didn't know Willow from Adam, and I sure as hell didn't know Chucky. There was no such thing.
Yeah.
So I took a shot at, just took I took the contract. And, I think I did the right gamble because, one, they went with Warwick Davis and Billy Barty and a few others, and they filmed it overseas, and they used a lot of local little people over there, so I probably wouldn't have gotten the job anyway. And I did 3 Chuckies, so I think, that was a good gamble.
You are pretty much, to me, you are what made Chucky come to life. I mean, yeah, the animatronics are okay.
That's why I was in the suit, to make Chucky move, because they couldn't get Chucky to run, jump. Of course, I did the full body burn, and then I was also in the burnt black suit, stalking Andy in the apartment after Chucky had burned. And just bits and pieces, just to help them get over the hump. They got Chucky. He's close up on his face. It's like a $1.3 million animatronic puppet. You know what I'm saying? It's doing absolutely wonderful, but he can't run away.
Yeah.
He can't do a handstand. He can't physically grab a knife and run with it and do anything specifically. And so, like kicking the door, I punched holes in the door with a knife because I had physical strength. The doll doesn't. It has physical movement, but no real strength behind it.
Okay, those scenes to me actually made the film. Like, you always look forward to those little pieces and bits of Chucky, like, almost stabbing Karen. Or did she? I think you did stab Karen in the hand, correct?
I stabbed through the door and cut her hand.
Yeah, thought so.
But you never saw me with any humans because I'm too big. I'm much bigger than Chucky the doll.
Yeah.
So when you saw me, I was on a separate set.
Oh, really?
That was 33% bigger.
Really?
So if you would have came into the kitchen with me, the kitchen counter would have been, well, I don't know how tall you are, but the kitchen counter would have been up to your shoulder.
Wow.
Thus making me look Chucky size.
I did not know that.
Your kitchen window, the one, again, I don't know where you live, the kitchen window that's usually when you're standing at the sink and you look out the kitchen window, which is the one that I walked in with Dr. Death, before I killed him with the $2. That window was probably 4 feet tall when they're normally 18 to 20 inches tall.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no clue, honestly. Wow.
Well, that's how you make, it's forced perspective. It's how you make big things look small. Or vice versa. They could have made the set tiny and it would have made, someone else look like a giant,
Kind of, actually, going back to where you talked about the full burnt bodysuit, throughout filming, what had to be the hardest stunt playing the role of the Lakeshore Strangler?
The black suit was difficult because they would spray it down. You have to look this up yourself. It's AB smoke. I think A is ammonia and B is, I don't know, some kind of, it's not like acid, but it's acidic. And when you combine the two, it smokes. And so that was very rough, on the breathing it in, the fumes all the time. Trying to move like a doll. See, the problem was in the very beginning, Chucky moved too much like a robot, and I moved too much like a person. So they needed me to stiffen up, and they needed the puppet to loosen up, and hopefully meet in the middle. And Tom Holland, he's a genius director. I just wish he would have directed them all. But, because the compliment that I got from the numbers, the facts, not from some person, the highest grossing Chucky movies were 1, 2, and 4. And those were the only 3 that I was in. I turned down 3, and it didn't do well, which caused them to, offer me a lot of money to do number 4, The Bride of Chucky. And I did it. And they did the same thing they did to cause me to not do number 3, so therefore I wouldn't do. And I read the script of Seed of Chucky, and there was just no way in hell I was going to do that.
Yeah, that is...
To me, the Seed of Chucky killed the franchise. And then if you notice, The Curse of Chucky was straight to DVD. And when you can't get a box office, that means something. There's a problem. Now the Cult of Chucky that they're making, they started Monday. And it's coming out this year. That tells me that it's going to be rushed. Rushed to film, rushed to edit, and rushed to get out. But that's going to be, I've heard, allegedly made for television. So there goes your language and there goes your gore. But they will also make it for DVD, so maybe they can have the unedited version, the director's cut. So that's how you sell the same movie over and over.
Yeah.
You have Child's Play. Then you have Child's Play the DVD. Then you have Child's Play the director's cut. And then Child's Play the uncut version.
Yeah.
And Child's Play Blu-ray. You know what I mean? So you're selling the same movie over and over.
If you don't mind, may I ask, why did you turn down Child's Play 3?
Oh, the director who the 2 people who helped rewrite the script was Tom Holland and John LaFia. And I believe John LaFia directed, I know he directed Child's Play 2. And, total asshole. They asked him in either Fangoria magazine or, Cinefantastic, one of the horror magazines.
Yeah.
They said Tom Holland, used a little person in, certain scenes, and they used a larger set, blah, blah, blah. Did you do that in Child's Play 2? And then he said, well, we hired a midget, but we never used him.
Really?
So I said, fine. And when 3 came along, I hung up the phone. And they kept calling back, and I would merely hang up the phone. And then my really good friend, David Kirshner, the executive producer, called me and said, my people are trying to get a hold of you, and, they keep getting disconnected. I was at my home in Palm Springs, and I said, no, I keep hanging up on them. And he's like, why would you do that? And I said, did you read the magazine? And he said, oh, you saw that? I said, yes. And there's no reprint or retraction or anything? No.
Wow.
I'm done. And so he said, what can I do to get you? We need you, we can't move Chucky. We need Chucky to move. And I said, $1 million, which of course wasn't going to happen. I don't think they had $1 million on any of those films. So I didn't do it. And then The Bride of Chucky came along, and, Universal wanted to know why 1 and 2 was so good and 3 wasn't. And why do you think 4 will be so good? And, they just said they didn't get me in Child's Play 3. And Universal, who I've done a lot of work with, had said, if you don't, basically no Ed Gale, no film. And I was quite honored with that. That also gave me a lot of bargaining power, and I've made a lot of money on that one. And they did the same fucking thing. And they had the girl, what's her name? Katherine Heigl. They had her, down inside the grave trying to dig up something. And Chucky said, hurry up, bitch. And she's like, shut up, you little midget, I'm hurrying. We don't like that word, we don't use that word. So I looked at him and I said, why? Why are you doing this? This is why I didn't do 3. And you're going to turn around and do it again right now. Why can't you say, Munchkin? Why can't you say this and that? And they gave me this bullshit song and dance that it's copyright, Munchkins. And I said, no, Munchkin's not copyright. And, you could have called him a little G.I. Joe. You could have called it a G.I. Joe defect. And that's against, a copyright against Mattel. I said, no, it's not. Common domain, because they use the word G.I. Joe on every war movie. Oh, you G.I. Joe, I know you. So, no, it's not a copyright word. They lied to me. And they said Universal Studios wants the word midget. Yeah, right. Throw the N-word in there and I'll believe you. It wasn't true. So, I had no desires to do the Seed of Chucky. And they never called me. I wouldn't have taken their call anyway. But at no time do I want to turn people off. I mean, that's my own personal dealings and the business side of the dealings. You asked the question and I answered it.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it's a great freaking series. Go for it. Everybody. I want everybody to watch it. And, Andy's coming back in the Cult of Chucky. It's awesome. He's got a big role in it. The little boy. Well, the little boy who's 35.
Yeah. Wow.
And you know what I mean? I absolutely, personally, I hate tattoos. But anybody who gets a tattoo, show it to me. I think it's gorgeous. You just ain't getting a needle in me. I absolutely, loathe piercings. Some people get 25 piercings on their ears. I'll take a look. It looks cool. They ain't get away from me. So I don't. Because I don't like it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. And, believe it or not, I do not like the horror genre. I do not watch horror movies. I do not watch zombies. I do not like, gore.
Really?
Yeah, right? Look at my resume. Yeah, that'll do.
Wow.
But, it's just something that it's just not, it's not, my favorite. Let's put it that way. I don't think they're disgusting. I just don't enjoy them because if the first Child's Play was more of a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
It wasn't gore and it wasn't horror, but you put the horror stamp on it and you get a hell of a better audience. They got gory a little bit, but even all the way up to The Bride of Chucky. I mean, what, one stab, or
a few nails in a face.
Yeah, no. Just between friends,
Yeah.
But no, but what I'm saying is, there's Chainsaw Massacre, that's freaking gore. And Freddy Krueger, that kind of stuff. To me, there's no real talent in writing a gore. There's a lot of talent that Don Mancini exudes in writing thriller, to screw with your mind. It's like, I always tell people, stab them in the heart, that's fine. You don't need to cut the heart out and show it to me. To me, it's like a love scene. Carry her into the bedroom, close the door. It's awesome. Let your mind decide what happens.
Yeah, don't show it for everyone to see.
Oh, take the camera all the way in, go under the sheet, slide all the way up, and yeah, now it's the point. You don't need that. You just close the door, and then you can go, oh, it's Bambi, it's Disney. Do it. Let the human emotion take over. When you think that you have to show every single second of every single second, you're basically saying your audience is dumb and they'll never get it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think horror now, or thrillers, they're basically building it upon gore after gore after gore, and it's just...
Right, well, the script is about 5 pages, maybe 9 pages long. Now, how do we make it 80 pages? Well, let's start cutting a bunch of heads off. We got to find a blonde bimbo that will break a heel. We got to find some hormonal teenager so you can kill him while he's outside. He's got to take his pants off outside for some reason, and then we're going to stab him and stick him to a tree. These are done. It's done. It's over. Make a movie. The Sixth Sense. Oh my God. Who the hell knew that was coming at the end?
Yeah, ooh.
Yeah.
That was a movie.
When you walk out of the movie theater and you're a little dizzy, and I don't care if you're a man or a woman, gay or straight. When you walk out of that theater and you're like, I'm going to faint. Somebody catch me. That was freaking a ride. That's a psychological thriller. I mean, if you like gore, God, love you. Go for it. Love it. There's a lot of gory movies out there, but nothing beats the original Dracula, Frankenstein, Those movies were awesome. The first Freddy, was fine. The other 19, I didn't care for. You've got 18 sequels. It kind of gets... But then again, I have to be a hypocrite. I have to say Star Trek made several films, but they weren't sequels. They were just another story. Star Wars was and is... It's kind of... That was more of a soap opera. That was mostly sticking with the same 3 or 4 or 5 characters and taking them through their paces in their life. Now that Disney has it, I guess they said they have something like 12 or 17 written that they're going to take, our heroes who will... They have to keep recasting, of course, because they're getting older,
Yeah.
And we lost our beloved Carrie Fisher, so...
Yeah, that was... Ooh, rest in peace.
Oh, yeah. And what's his name? Han Solo. He's not a spring chicken.
I heard rumors that they were going to do, like, a Child's Play prequel. But I don't think that's happening, hopefully.
No, I've never heard of it. You have to... See, what you have to do is forget what you read online because it's just, crap.
Yeah, garbage.
Listen to the interviews on YouTube of David Kirshner, Don Mancini, the actual people there, and they say, "Are you going to do 20 of them?" And they say, I doubt it. I'd like to wrap it up. There's your fact. Are you going to do a reboot of Child's Play? David Kirshner, I think, or Don Mancini, one of them said they would kind of like to, but they probably won't. See, there's your fact. But I kind of would like to, somebody types that and they run with it.
Yeah.
They run it. They want to do it. Don Mancini wants to do a prequel. He wants to do a reboot. He said he wants to, but he probably won't. It's just, it's just sad when the internet, the people, if they would leave their grandmother's basement and actually go outside. The sun is pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Here it's like -2.
Oh, where you at?
I'm an hour and 30 minutes away from Chicago. I'm in Braidwood right now.
Oh, but you're in Illinois.
Yes.
Okay, I was born in Battle Creek, Michigan.
Really?
Yeah. And then I grew up in... I tell everybody I was born in Battle Creek. I was raised in Plainwell. And I grew up in California. Because I came out here at age 20. And you're not there yet. But, not a lot. There's not a lot of significance in your life before the age of 20. That's when you really do your growing up,
Yeah.
Except for you, of course, taking exception, who has his own show at 16. You're growing up faster, and kids are growing up faster these days. And now I sound like an old person, but
you got like another 60 years on you. You're good.
Well, I'm 53, and I have I retired for 2 reasons. One, I was just tired of the game, and they were stopping. Everything's turning into CGI and computers, so the work is getting scarce. And I developed restrictive lung disease, so I'm on oxygen all the time. So not real cool to walk into an audition wheezing with a walker and somebody holding your IV bottle.
Oh.
And they're like, "Can you do a somersault?" Like, yeah. It took me 40 minutes to stand up this morning. You want me to do a somersault? Days are over. And I feel bad when I see more new little people in Hollywood, and it's like Little Women of Atlanta or Little Women of this or that. Cute show, love it. But what are they going to do afterwards?
Yeah.
They don't hire little people to do just normal things, Watch an episode of Bones. You won't see a little person, tending bar. Why can't we just bring the camera, going, Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson walking through the airport, and it's like, oh, I forgot my keys. And a little person goes, here you go. Oh, thank you. And leave. Don't make it a big issue that, oh my God, it was a little person. If you show little people doing normal things, eventually you'll see them doing normal things. But the problem is life imitates art and art imitates life. The reason you never saw, black people playing policemen in the 20s is they weren't allowed to be policemen in the 20s. So they weren't going to be policemen in the movies because, again, art imitates life. Well, you don't see little people doing bank jobs and post office jobs because they don't. If more little people would do, normal, well, if they would hire little people to play just your basic role, I mean, I had a great role in Baywatch, but I had to be a little person in order to do it. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Again, very, honored to work with George Clooney and all the rest of the cast. My mind is going. I don't remember the cast right this minute. But it was wonderful working with all of them. But I had to be a little person. It wouldn't have worked. You had to throw that little funny midget line in there somewhere,
Yeah. Wow.
I got tired of that. And, financially I didn't need to. So my partner, we've been together 15 years. He works at the hospital. So I figured they want to put me on disability. They say I can't walk much anymore. I can't breathe much anymore. I said, I'll let them do it then. They want to label me, well then pay me. Now we travel a lot and we hang out at home a lot. He works a lot, so until he retires. He's 14 years younger than me, so he's got a few more years to go.
Wow. Congratulations, though. I'm quite happy.
Thank you.
Okay, last question about Child's Play. I'm sorry, but this.
No, God no. Go ahead.
Do you think Child's Play Chucky, it just needs to die?
Well, I mean that's mean for me to say. It's okay for the audience. I mean, because the audience are the buying public. They got to stop buying the tickets. Then that's when a movie goes away. And it's like, Freddy Krueger, whatever movie they made 9 of. If they've made 6, 7, 8, or 9 of them, and they're like, they made 9 of those fucking movies, and I watched every one of them, and they sucked. And I said, you just said it yourself, dumbass. You watched them all. That's why they keep making more. And people love to hate stuff, but yet everybody hates Facebook, but everybody's on it. Everybody hates traffic, but not one of them going to ride the bus. We love to hate. Because you're talking to an actor or a former actor.
Yeah.
To ask me a question like that is like saying, yes, I want to put all these other actors out of business. They need to stop making Chucky and fire everybody. If it's making money, let it go. If it's not making money, well, somebody's losing money, and I hope they just, they got enough money. They can just keep throwing money, good money after bad. Okay, keep doing it. Land Before Time.
Yeah.
That was in the box office, what, twice, 3 times? They made 25 DVDs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Land Before Time, 8, 9, 10. Look it up on the IMDb. That frickin' thing goes on forever. Those voice actors work forever. And you think, boy, I wonder what happened to those voice actors after 2 movies. They're probably homeless. No. They're doing movies you don't even know what they're doing. I mean, Prince disappeared for 20 years. What the hell did he do? Oh, he produced Beyonce, Destiny's Child. He produced Aliyah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he was tired of the stage, or he was, his creative juices weren't flowing. He's like, I just can't write right now, especially when he lost his only child. A lot of people, they think we disappear,
Yeah.
Unlike me, who faded away and does nothing, but hey, I'm fat and happy. I love it.
You are not forgotten. Everyone loves what? You've done 130 films?
Well, films, TV shows, commercials, yeah. I combine everything. It makes it for a bigger number. Yeah, I had a good ride. I mean, I'm not going to complain at all. I mean, I can complain about every single project I ever worked on. There was always some part of something that I didn't like, but yet I loved everything. And it's the kind of business that you love to hate. You call your agent, and I did a film in the polar ice caps above Alaska, and it was horrifying. It was so cold. It was so miserable. And after I was done, I told my agent, I'm done. I'll never do another film. Leave me alone. Don't ever call me again. And 2 days later, she goes, listen, Spielberg wants to. When? I'll be there. What time? We love to bitch about it and complain about it, but we won't stop doing it.
Wow. So, now, the biggest question. What is your favorite film that you've done? What do you feel most satisfied about?
For a lot of people who know me and a lot of my fans who hang out on my fan site, I know they're all just gasped because I said, the number one rule is I do not like the word favorite. I don't have a favorite color. I don't have a favorite food. I don't have a favorite music. Because I love people turn the radio on. They go, oh, hush, that's my favorite song. Listen. 10 minutes later, it's like, oh, this is my favorite song. Listen. They use the word favorite like they don't even, like the word friends on Facebook. Dude, you're not friends.
Yeah.
Anyway, they just overuse. So favorite film, I tell everybody, almost all of them, there's a couple. Not, I've walked off a couple of sets. But anyway, Howard the Duck was my very, very, very first. Bought my first house, got my first introduction to the movie. Definitely a favorite. I mean, Spaceballs, Mel Brooks, hello. Child's Play, I got to do a full body burn, wow. And I got to work with, Tom Holland and David Kirshner, who created American Tail. E.T. and Bambi combined. I mean, it was an amazing cartoon. Look it up sometime. Every other film, Baywatch, my God, I got to no costume,
Yeah.
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? George Clooney, I got to, again, no costume. So, and almost every sitcom out there, I did at least, one episode of, Bones, Just Shoot Me, Grounded for Life, blah blah blah. So I just can't pick a favorite because to me the others would be not. It's like, oh, so that's his favorite, and like you, what was your favorite interview? And if I mentioned anybody but you, you'd be like, what'd I do? What'd I do wrong?
Yeah.
Looking at it, I would say, costume-wise, Howard was definitely a favorite because I was the only actor who did it. I did the whole thing.
Yeah.
Everybody always calls me Chucky's stunt double, and I hate that.
No, you are Chucky. I mean...
Well, but they put me as stunt double in the credits, so they wouldn't have to pay me residuals as much. They do, but they're not as much. And that was a screw job, again. So, as far as the production went, I took my, I got my bruises, But as far as being the character, I loved it. Chucky was awesome after number one. Number one wasn't awesome because we didn't know what the hell it was. Making a movie and going to throw it out there and see if it sticks. Doing The Bride of Chucky was awesome because now I'm in an iconic suit and I have a lot of rules to follow. Chucky doesn't fly. He doesn't have lasers. We got rules. He's turning into a human. He's not going to grow a tail. So you can't. Once you establish something, you've got to stick with it, and that becomes the challenge. Like with Leprechaun, there was nothing. He was magical. He could do anything he wanted.
Yeah.
And there were no rules. He ended up in space. He ended up in Vegas. Someone told me about Chucky in space. I was like, oh, my God, kill me now. But, I have, some of the top ones that I loved. And again, I loved Spaceballs. I loved the opportunity to work on that one. Life Pod was an awesome sci-fi that I got to work on. Again, big role. And The Dreamer of Oz, that was my first time I ever worked with John Ritter, and the second time, of course, with Bride of Chucky. So, I've enjoyed Phantasm 2. That was freaking awesome. Because that Phantasm 1 was the first horror film I ever watched.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, no,
wow.
maybe Exorcist.
Oh, that was... Oof.
Yeah, that was not even... That was beyond, because, again, that made you walk out thinking you're looking up looking for lightning to hit you.
Yeah.
And that's how that movie worked. I mean, Jaws scared people out of the ocean,
And then they made like 13 of them.
Well,
Yeah.
Jaws, brother-in-law of Jaws,
Mr. Gale, I thank you so much for answering my questions, Skyping with me.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
It's an honor, really.
Oh, good. I appreciate it. Yeah, feel free. I don't know how many shows you do. Chucky will turn 30 in 2018, so maybe you can do some kind of a recap or something. Give me a call. I'll do. I love. Obviously, you can tell I love to talk.
That's good. I'm glad.
As long as I can sit If I don't have to stand up and memorize lines,
No acting, I promise.
I'm good to go.
Okay, Mr. Gale. Well, I will definitely keep in contact with you.
I appreciate that. Do that. And just put the link to my Facebook on your blog.
Oh, of course.
To the fan page.
Yes. Oh, no, don't worry.
The page is fun. I love it. I use it most. But I try to keep it separate. I like to keep my family and friends when I can bullshit with them. And then the fans, I want to give them special attention. I want to be able to, if they want to autograph pictures, I want to keep them separate. That's all.
Of course.
I mean, if they happen to stumble onto my personal page, I'm not going to tell them no. I'm just going to say, I just kind of want to keep it that way. I know who I'm talking to. All right, kiddo. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, and have a great day.
You too, kiddo.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That was our first interview. I think it went amazing. So, give it a thumbs up. I will happily make another one, hopefully. That was Ed Gale. His words, everything, guys. His link will be down in the description below. Subscribe for more nerdy, geeky content. Trust me, it's not all horror. And thank you for tuning in. See ya.